Hello, let's do another video here. I'm going to analyze the mystery documents found in a bureau and published on Swedish forum Flashback and then also on Reddit. So a lot of you probably have heard about these documents. They are quite interesting documents, but it's not sure they might be fake. They might be fake. And what I will try to do today is to try to both present them to you and give my thoughts. Like, could they be real or not? Do they make sense? This man who published them, he as I understand it, he got a bit scared because, as you probably know, you follow this. It's like a sport among skeptics to say that they are wrong and like that. So a lot of ufologists has gotten a bit scared basically because yeah. So I think that's what happened with him. So he published these, and then he wrote a little bit on this forum, but he didn't do anything more with them, as not that I know of at least. So first a little bit of history here. In Sweden, like among ufologists, it's quite common to say that after the invention of nuclear weapon and the use of nuclear weapons during the Second World War, a lot of ufologists believe that it was then that because I'm not a physicist, but physicists today, they are not really sure what about these new theories about yeah, like different, how does it works with like string theory and different kind of particles and like that? Are there like other dimension that we might not like feel and understand really, and so on? Even the like top physicists, they kind of admit that they're not sure. They're not sure like if we know anything. And one theory among ufologists is that during the Second World War, because of these high impacts of the nuclear weapons, it kind of gave like signals not only to our little dimension but also other ones. So that's why when extraterrestrials became more interested in Earth, and that's why UFO sightings has gone up a lot. They were not so. Sometimes they happened before, but after World War II to today, they have steadily increased. And I'm going to speak about one of these cases, which was something in English known as the ghost rockets. And basically, as you can see here on the left, this is a photo of it. It looks a bit like a meteor or a rocket. So basically, these ones came from the sky and they landed for some reason always in lakes. And because they always landed in lakes, it made some people to believe that they are not just random, because they didn't never, like Sweden has a lot of forest and not so many lakes. They have some lakes, but uh, wherever these landed that people saw it was always in a lake. So for example, if you read about ghost rockets on Wikipedia, you see that there are 4 cases. There are 4 small lakes that these rockets landed in, and you can see here on the right, it's a man in a boat, like diving for it and try to search for it in that lake. So apparently one ghost rocket went into that small lake here. That this man, I guess there are divers, and I don't really know what he's doing, but would make some sense to dive in the lake and see if you can find some kind of machinery or so from it. And the ghost rockets, there were 2,000 sightings between May and December of 46, and the first ones came in February 46, so it was for almost a year. And 2,000 reported sightings, and 200 were verified with radar, that they were only both seen on radar by the Swedish Air Forces and also by witnesses. But some thought this is that this was meteor showers, because there are there is a phenomenon known as meteor shower when a lot of meteors come at the same time, basically. And another theory here was that it was some kind of Soviets made test of like German rockets and so on, so they flew it into northern Sweden where there is just there is very little people there. It's just big forest and not so many people, so it was like a safe place to test this weaponry. But that doesn't really explain why most, like all of them, like they went like to lakes, like those that was seen where they landed. It was always into lakes. So there has been a lot written about this, but there has been yeah, there has been some like reports of what people thought at that time. Like, for example, Sweden cooperated with the United States, and documents that you can read there on the ghost rockets, they have been ghost rockets wiki. There are like declassified reports both from Sweden and USA. At least some investigators thought they were not they had extraterrestrial origins, basically. Okay, so these ones got more interesting actually 2 or 3 years ago. It was here on the left you see a bureau or a chest of drawers, and there was this man who posted on this forum Flashback that he had found a letter inside here, and he described it as that on the left it was glued. It was like glued to the roof of the box. He pulled out the drawer and like glued to the roof. There was these documents hidden that I will told you. So, well, likely if he's believable, if he hasn't fabricated it, then someone wrote down this information that I will read to you, and he put it in the drawer and he hid it by gluing it to the top of the drawer, basically. And the picture to the right, it's one when I was like at the archives and looking for UFO materials. I saw like a box. This one was from like Swedish archives, and this sign to the bottom is the one that I want to show you. This one. This is red, and it says secret of great significance for the nation's security, the army. And interesting here is that they're using the old world for the army, so they're using like Krigsmakten, which is the old world, and apparently in 1974 this name was changed for the army to the new name, which is Försvarsmakten, as you can see here on the top on these documents. So and that means like defense force, basically. And yeah, and on the red one it means war force. So, and also if we look here at the stamps here, we can see that it's the same kind of style. There is this same kind of, the letters look the same, around it looks the same, two lines around it. So the only thing that's changed is the what's at the bottom there, and that's because the Swedish army changed name basically, and it's green. And so if he forged these documents, then at least he has gotten a correct stamp for the secret, top secret classification stamp, which I imagine that the Swedish army will be very careful so the stamp doesn't get out, because you don't really want everyone to have a stamp and they can just make a stamp that it's a classified document. That doesn't make any sense. But of course he could work at the defense department and have access to the stamp, so it's not a proof that these ones are genuine. And there are four papers here. They are in Swedish, and you can just Google these ones, and there are there is like a lot of translations too. For example, you can just put into ChatGPT and it will translate everything to English for you. But I'm just gonna read it here a bit. What's the most important here for you, and I will translate it to English as I read it. So apparently it says, "Hello, Per." That's his name, Per, who got this letter, and it's a very common name in Sweden. So it says it's kind of old and very. The letter is written in old style, and it's also written in a very formal style. So it's quite a formal style. So anyway, it is a thing about Esrange that few knows. And Esrange, it's the Swedish Space Center, and it has been been located in Kiruna in northern Sweden. Let's see here. Had some info here. So the Esrange, it's the Swedish Rocket Range and Space Center. I have a picture of it. Actually, I'm going to go forward to the picture here. So here you can see Esrange. It's this little base here, and they are like the official spaceport in Sweden, and actually also for the European Union. And one thing that's very strange about this range, Esrange, it's because it's located extremely rural. Like in USA, the spaceports are always located in like where a nice climate and lots of people, for example in Houston or Florida or so, because like I'm not an astrologer, but why do you want to put the spaceport in the middle of nowhere? That doesn't make so much sense, because no one would like to live there, especially because Sweden is so cold. So there is snow like maybe I don't know, 8 months a year. It's snowy and extremely cold. So it's a strange place that they had made Esrange where it is. So let me read a little bit about the history of Esrange. It was built in 1964, and it was already at that time became the European Space Agency. So it has always been like a Swedish and European founded agency, and they have quite a lot of like like safety area around where they try rockets, and so I guess that's one advantage to why it's like in the middle of nowhere, to have some kind of safety area, because there is like almost no people living there except for the people living in that town of Kiruna. And yeah, so let's go back. So it says there is one thing about Esrange that few knows. There is it's nothing that because he has gotten a new job this pair. It's nothing that your predecessor knew, but in your position there can be decisions that will affect our operation. And I know that you trust that you know the importance of secrecy regarding this information. I take it from the beginning. Everything you know about my job on Esrange is untrue. I'm working at Esrange, but not with the sounding rockets. Esrange is a cover, and Esrange and the Space Corporation is just a cover to hide a colony with creatures from another solar system. My job is to try to investigate uh, and analyze and replicate their technologies. It's same story that Bob Lazar had on Area 51. I'm part of a small team of 23 people. Could there have been more? Yeah, but there is also greater threat for information leakage if more people are working with it. This colony has been at the place a long time before Esrange was there, and the reason that was the reason why Esrange was placed where it was in the middle of nowhere. And they came 1946 after have sent a lot of probes, and these probes were these ghost rockets that I was showing you about. They had traveled for many hundreds of years and studied the human technology development. They never went into an orbit around the Earth. Instead, they came with like a curve and slowed before the atmosphere to get as little traction as possible. But it required that they sent a big number of probes in the area to find a good place to have their base. And they were called the ghost rockets. Here, something that's a little bit weird with these ones, because we were talking about the ghost rockets, and the ghost rockets were, according to Wikipedia, it was between February 26th and May to December, like December 46 to December 46 was the time of the ghost rockets. But here in this letter it says that there already came probes already in the 30s and also in the 40s. So maybe he says that there came ghost rockets even before, but yeah, then what Wikipedia thinks. But here then it says that when the big ship came 1946, then no one noticed. And the year, it also says the year before the arrival, there were a larger number of probes. And after they had landed, it quit. So it quit there. December was the last probe. Because of this incident, the defense, Swedish defense has made this Ghost Rocket secret program to investigate this. And it says like it was on the Wikipedia here. 19th of July, probes went into 4 lakes in northern Sweden, and when the lakes are being investigated by the defense, they don't find anything, but they find no parts, but they find big holes on the bottom, which suggests that there was something that landed and made an impact, but then they went away. So and also that's also the conclusion here in the letter, that he who's writing this letter, he thinks that the probes landed in the lake on purpose. And 1946, the defense orders the newspapers in Sweden to not mention any names, to make it harder for people to find where it is. But there is at least four names on Wikipedia, and it is to keep it secret from other hostile nations. Like at this time, and also now, of course, Russia is the big threat to Sweden. So everything about after World War II, it has always been Russia that Sweden has been afraid of. So it's used to Russia can't get the info. Okay, so I'm going to page 2, the one on the right, and we have the same stamp there. So it says that it says that it was an article in the New York Times, and the American secretary Dean Acheson had said that he was very interested about the ghost rockets in Sweden. And 20 August, two persons from two generals from USA land to help with the investigation. Two generals, you can read the name there. And 1947, like a little bit later, it was the Roswell crash, and then USA gets much more interested in UFO, and it says here that in New Mexico, it was a new secret government organization in USA made by the President Harry Truman, a secret group called Omega. That's a Greek letter. And yeah, and the reason was that the Americans thought that it was such an important thing, this Roswell crash, so it couldn't have the normal openness in a democratic society. So that's why it has been, as lots of whistleblowers says today, it has been compartmentalized, which is basically there are like secret, like government organizations, like CIA and different kind of groups, and they are like creating like private organizations. So basically the public can't have any access, because you can't have access to like a public so everything gets buried like in secrecy, basically. And it was like that, but 15 years later something changed. It was 1962, and the astronaut John Glenn went around the Earth, and America sent up a satellite called Telstar. It's first private a launching of a satellite, and it was a group, Omega, this group, secret group, that sent it. And it's the reason they are sending it up is that because it's sending a satellite with equipment to scan Earth after radio signals that looks like the ones they found when from Roswell. And it also says here, 1962, Soviet Union has opened fires against UFOs in the atmosphere in the northern, even with nuclear weapons. And this was known because there was a spy in the Soviet Union known as Mark Trum who told us about this. And it says this satellite that went around the Earth by the group Omega to find radio signals, same as they noticed in the Roswell crash. And they say that they find a signal from a very remote part of Sweden, not far from this Kiruna, but it's a little bit closer to another small village. And because of that, because of the Sweden, the Swedish parliament made a law against radio signals, like private radio signals, and the reason was because it would should be it should be possible to like find this signal easier. That was the reason for that. And 62, same time, the European, like this Esrange, which was known as the European Space Research Organization then, but is now known as Esrange. And it was to be placed exactly where they find this signal from the satellite of this Omega, this satellite signal. And it was first known as the ESRO, but then it changed name to Esrange, which it has today, which stands for Extraterrestrial Stationary Radio Anomaly North Ground Elevation. So at this place there was an extraterrestrial stationary radio anomaly north ground elevation. So likely these is like this alien colony that it says in the letter is below Esrange. And as we see, it's very strange to have spaceports so far in the north where no one lives, but but they have these arguments that they are still using, like it's safe because no one is around, so it's safe to launch rockets, even if it's probably pretty safe to launch rockets into space anyway, because they can do it like in USA and this Esrange, because the place is so remote, it's extremely huge. It's not huge like buildings and so, but the amount of forest that is shut off from the public with barbed wires, guard posts is huge. Like it's because because of how remote this is, like there is no problem to have this like this airbase, like they have like the ground of like I don't know, like a big city, like yeah. The year after uh, they um, they located these energy signals 470 meters around under the ground. When deep when it was located, they tried to drill down to the ground to get there, and they made this huge plateau of stone and gravel, and it's the official explanation why they have such a big pile of stone and gravel is that it is used to send off weather balloons, but that's only like a cover up. And no, like very few people at Esrange know uh, the real reason why the base is where it is. Most people just think it's what they say it is. And the colony is circular and disc shaped, and it has a diameter of 3,341 meter. So how could it get down in the ground 470 meter down if it was that huge? And how could it come there without being noticed? Like how could it go? Like how could it get there? That's what I think that's strange. How could it get down? We have seen I will come back to Skinwalker Ranch. We have seen like photos and videos there where just object just goes into the rock. So maybe this one is such an object that could just go like to another dimension and then come back. That would be one thing, but more likely, as I see it, is that this colony has been there like all the time, like it was sent like long time ago, and now because of the nuclear weapons, then it was more urgent for the extraterrestrials to go there. They found their colony, and they found their colony, and they started using it because we humans were sufficiently advanced now, so it would basically be important for them to observe us. For example, at the Skinwalker Ranch, there is this mesa. It's a little bit of it's a hill basically, and in this hill, lots of people thinks that there might also be a buried spaceship or so because there is so many anomalies found in Skinwalker Ranch that the one who makes the TV series thinks that there's probably like a spaceship or so inside that mountain. And it could be the same here. Maybe not same, but it could be the same here that's under the Esrange. And it has its it says that it has a hard the UFO has like a hard cover, like metal, and it's directly against the mountain with perfect fit. And there is a few and there is no like there was no like passage up to the except for the one that they got when they drilled down to find the object. And what so I that's just my opinion. It's more likely that this spaceship came there a long time ago, like before, a really long time ago, and then it landed there, and it was there just it was just like parked down there, and then like the years passed, and then there came like because ice age, and there was ice age in Sweden, so like rocks and gravel and so were moved by the ice, and it was covered up by material, and that's why it's perfect at the bottom, because it was like a perfect place for it to land, and then there has been earth covering it basically. Same in Skinwalker Ranch, it's probably has been there for a long time, and it just gotten active now when it's needed. And it has more details here. The surface of the UFO is non-metallic, but there is some exceptions. The center core is 250 meter wide, and it has a little bit of a raised 1.2 meter triangle at the oven side of the spaceship, and it's covered by circular patterns in different sizes and different kind of metal compounds that give different colors. Our tunnel begins with a long tunnel that ends 10 degrees down towards the center of the colony on 250 meters deep. Above center of colony we had first our base with offices, lab, bathrooms and so on, and we call it this central place. And just below that we have a bit of a room between the surface of the spaceship and the mountain, where we can examine the spaceship. It's high in the roof and called the church, and from there are tunnels at the top of the spaceship in every directions for reach to the sides, and one goes down a bit under the colony, and the tunnel is supposed to be the whole way to the center. This tunnel has a bit left before it's done. And no passage to the was strange for us. How could their probes go to the ground and down again without any passages? And the answer to that came in June 1979, where a colleague and his friend James found by police in June, frozen to death some bit away from the base. maybe like the strange thing was that he wasn't dead, not yet. The body they found was dead, but my colleague was at life and work at death. But the body was like an exact copy of him, except it's lacked a little bit of a tooth. But it had clothes and everything. It even had a copy of our coffee can from our base, the cafe at our base. Let me read that one more time because this was part a little bit hard to understand. June 1979, we lost a dear friend. My colleague and friend James were found by police, frozen to death, a few miles from the base. The strange thing was that he was not dead, not yet. The body they found was stone dead, but my colleague was alive and worked as usual. But the body was like an exact copy of him, except it missed a bit of a tooth, same clothes and everything. So they found like a cloned copy of his colleague and James. So James was probably dead, but was only a copy because his colleague was still alive. So they have been making a clone of him, according to this. So this part is a little bit hard to understand. So I'm going to continue to read here. The police was confused because there was no one announced missing, and he was not dressed for the wilderness in Sweden in the winter. It was in June, but it's always cold in here where the airbase is. So even if June, it's gonna be very cold. And how could he get to where he was in the wilderness? So he was found in the wilderness where there were no roads. So apparently he was found by, there is this local people known as the Sami, which is reindeer herding native people of northern Sweden. So apparently they found the bodies and reported police, would be my guess, because there was no roads there, because they travel on their reindeers. And I'm going to continue to read here. We were also confused, and it was very scary, and we have no theories what could have happened or what would happen. So they continued to work to August 1980. And what happened August 1980 was that they recorded they noticed some seismographic disruptions and spaceships over, or crafts over, Esrange. It was this is also strange. They was like there was a connection between the seismographic disruption and the space craft over Esrange, but it was delayed by 575 days. So one of these seismographic disruptions or this spaceship happened 575 days apart. So if they saw 3 craft leave the area with 2 days after each other, then they noticed seismogramic, which is like earthquake movements earthquake movements. 2 days in between, 575 days later. So first the spacecraft, the crafts, and then the earthquakes. And when we saw this pattern, we saw our chance how they did to send them up. We noticed early that they were aware of our workplace hours, and the earthquake had been when we were not working, or at least as few of us were working, as they knew that we were there and they observed us. But this time we had an idea when it was supposed to be happening next. So because of that, some people slept down in the central, so we were always observing them, and so they were observing everything. They had machinery to observe anything that happened on the upper part of the spaceship, like every kind of equipment, radioactive, electromagnetic, sound waves, and gravity. At 2:30, which is, I guess, in the night, 2:30 in the night, there was a baller from the church, which is the which was used to the big room under the central, and 4 seconds later there was a bang, and James was back from the coffee room, was gone. Everything that heard was that something small that fell to the floor. It was the part of his tooth that was missing. But everyone realized that he was kidnapped by the aliens, and then they found him some miles northwest of the base in 1979 without winter clothes. So that's why he didn't have winter clothes. So basically, like, if we're gonna connect it back now, so here it says the answer came because of an accident in June 1979, which was when James were kidnapped by the aliens, extraterrestrials, and the answer came later. Yeah, the time is maybe not perfect here, but I get their point. James was kidnapped. A bit of his tooth fell down from his, and he was kidnapped. And for some reason, him and they also made a copy of another colleague who was not kidnapped, but they could copy him. And because of that, James was probably not the one that's been. That's just what I think. He was probably not. It was probably two dolls, two clone dolls of James and this other colleague, and James might probably still be abducted, basically, by the aliens, because it doesn't make many sense for them to kill him. But it makes some sense to have a human abducted. So they found him. Yeah. Okay, so let's not care about this, because this kidnapping story is a little bit vague. So let's continue here. We then discovered how they get their craft above ground. They have an ability to affect the space-time. They can jump up 1 kilometer without needing to go through space. But the side effect is that when they jump up, they also jump back in time. So and that was maybe what happened to James, that he was exactly above, and that they were jumping up they were jumping up from the spaceship to the ground, and he was there, and that could explain that. So maybe he wasn't kidnapped after all. It was just because but yeah, it might also have been like he was not kidnapped, but when they jumped up, he was in the way, and he also got up, and then he was dead when he came out. Basically, he was, because he traveled like back in time, basically. And let's read it again. So we understood how they get a spaceship up. They have the ability to bend space-time. They can jump up 1 kilometer without needing to go through space. But the side effect is that they jump back 575 days in time. And if you're above the triangular antenna when that happens, then you can come with them. After this revelation, we moved the central observation central, and we made another hole longer up in the tunnel, so it's not above the triangular center point of the UFO to avoid incidents. And we also had a 100-meter high antenna exactly above the triangle to show exactly where the center of the colony is. Okay, so how does their probes work? Why do they always land in lakes? And why did we never found anything? But when they could find a part in New Mexico in Roswell, that has to do with the metal they're made of. We call that metal alkalium or interstellite. Interstellite is a compound of a group 1 and 2 in the periodic systems metals, and some of them are called alkalic metal. That's why we call it alkalium, and they are reacting with water. They can prevent the metal from reacting with water, and we think that they might do it by have a high volt on the outside of the ship that could prevent the water from touching the ship. And the good thing with this is if a probe doesn't work and fell down in the wilderness, it only stays there until the first rain, and when the first rain comes, the probe will react with the water and leave no trace. So that could also be the reason why they could found in Roswell in New Mexico, because it doesn't rain there basically. So or at least very, very rarely. So not like Sweden. And that's also the reason why they prefer to land the probes in lakes at the end of the mission, because they will react with water and all traces will be erased. And yeah, he doesn't say anything more than his name is Carl, and he has some kind of a signature here. So this these documents are a little bit too good to be true. Like there is, but it's still something interesting to think about. And it also led me to think a little bit more about why was it why this was this place chosen, why northern Sweden to land here. And it could be that they already was here from before. This is a picture of the city of Kiruna, which is, because it's rural, the Esrange is maybe 100 kilometers from this city, or a little bit more maybe even, but it's the closest city to the to Esrange, the spaceport. And this city is quite famous for another thing also. It's the most northern city of Sweden, and it was built there because there are very rich iron and mines here. And as you can see here in the picture, this is the city of Kiruna. It's quite a small city, but they have what they claim at least is the largest iron mine in the world. Like so they have had yeah, it's like the largest iron mine in the world. So it's a huge iron mine. We can't only see a little part here, but it goes around the city. And what will happen, which is pretty strange, and it's because of that, I have some other theories about that. And what will happen now is that this city, they will move the whole city. They have already started. So this is an old picture like 10 years ago. But every house here, you see, there may be 30,000 people or something like that in this city. All their houses, they will get moved. Some houses maybe could be put on a truck and travel away, and some they will just build up in another place, because this mining corporation, of course, is very rich. It's a mining corporation known only by the Swedish state. So Swedish state has complete control over this mine. So for them, it's like a huge amount of money to move an entire city, of course, but it's also small money for a company. But the strange thing is, like, why build, like, why move a city? Like, there is lots of, like, there has never been an accident. The reason they say why they want to move the city, it is because they say there is some risks, like some part of the city might collapse, fall down, but I'm pretty sure, because this mine has been probably for 100 years now, and like I've never heard of any accident, and it's like built with, like, the mine is like built like, it's like, I'm sure, because it's Sweden, like it's built very safely, like safety is like top priority. Like, so I'm sure when they made like the shafts, mining shafts, that they made it so the whole mine wouldn't just collapse down, because Sweden is quite advanced when it comes to mining techniques and engineering and all those kind of things. So and there is so many mines around the world city. I never heard why move an entire city. So the only reason I could think that they want to move the entire city is that because they have something to hide, and because there is like zero chances, I see it, that they would move an entire city costing billions and billions of dollars, just because sometimes there might be an accident and maybe there will come a hole. Like that makes zero sense to pay millions and millions of dollars just to tear down an entire city and rebuild it. Like I don't know, like 100, like I don't know, like 50 kilometers from here. So only reason why is because they must be hiding something. And what they could be hiding is maybe another of these space crafts down, as was said here, and or it's something like that, because Esrange is a bit far away, but maybe when they have dug the mines, because the mines are also going down, of course, more than 500 meters deep to where it is. So they might also have found another site here, And 2 years ago, it was 2023, there was this announcement because Sweden was it was Sweden's turn to be chairman of the European Union, and what the Prime Minister of Sweden did, they invited all like the major European politicians, like Scholz, Macron, and all of those, and also the European Union's leaders like Ursula von der Leyen. Every one of those came, but they didn't come to the capital, to Stockholm, which would be more like comfortable. Instead, they wanted to go to here, to Kiruna, and they visited both Esrange and they visited Kiruna, and they went down to the mine. And they announced that they found another site here with which they called a deposit here of rare earth minerals. So this is the mine, and this is Kiruna here, and this is the mine. And just to get a sense of the scope, this is the Eiffel Tower for scale. So it's like, I don't know, maybe 3,000 meters down, and maybe, I don't know, It's just huge mine, and this one is it's as big as all the. And this, remember, this is the largest iron mine in the world, by far the largest iron mine in the world. And they found this rare earth material here, and they will start. So why did they like announce? But you can see here they made like a mine shaft and found it when they were looking for other spacecraft, probably. Like, why would they announce this? And I guess the main reason why they would announce it is because it's not actually like, this might be like another spaceship here, or maybe it's the same spaceship that is covered in the documents. Maybe this is under Esrange here. This could be Esrange here, and this could be Kiruna, and so this could be the spaceship that was hinted at in the documents. That's my theory. This is the spaceship that was hinted at in the documents, and it's actually a lot bigger than it was said here, like in the papers. So that's at least something to think about. That this is Esrange, this is the spaceship, and the mining company has found the spaceship because they have dug a shaft until they hit this spaceship. And the reason why they are announcing it as a mine is because they will make like big digging here. And I guess because the Swedish, like the it's called the Esrange, the like European Space Agency. So the European Union leaders like Ursula von der Leyen, President Macron, Scholz, and all those leaders of the European Union, they also needed to know, and that's probably why they went down in the mine shaft to look at this. That's at least what I think. So it will be very interesting to follow, like what will happen with this Per Geyer deposit, and like, is it spaceship or not? Like, it will be interesting to follow here. So yeah, so this is one more picture here of the Esrange sending up a rocket here. So here they say it was this in the what's it called? Yeah, this is the spaceship. So as I understood it from the papers, it's not exactly like the main part of the spaceship is not exactly where they have this rocket launching site. It's to the side somewhere. But anyway, I thought this is something to keep track of, because there has been a lot of these American whistleblowers, and one thing that they say, I think it was Louis Elizondo and also a lot of whistleblowers. They say that they have heard reports of a spaceship too big to move. They've heard reports of a spaceship when they were working like in this secret American government organization. It's a spaceship that's too big to move. It's too big to move. And we don't know where it is. We're not allowed, or they don't say don't know where it is, but when they say we're not allowed to tell it. But I think the big spaceship that's too big to move, it's like shown here on the Kiruna under the Esrange, and it's the same that these papers are talking about, because if these are true, because then surely America also have such a good spy, so they surely knows about this. If this is true, then yeah, there is this spaceship, and because of this increased mining operation now, where like the company will start this major mining operation, they will move the city far away so no one gets any knows anything about this spaceship, and they will start to dig here. So that's my conclusion, and I think this is a case that's worth watching. So see you next video.